Now then, where did the supreme master of Taoism come from? Let me tell you, his roots are as pure as they come. His name, Laozi. Dear listeners, you ask who this ancient sage is, the one said to have split open the heavens and breathed life into the cosmos? Well, none other than the revered and legendary Taishan Laojian, the grand supreme elderly lord. A figure of immense wisdom and mystique, he didn't just appear once or twice in the human world. No, he's taken on countless forms over the ages, descending to the mortal realm like it was a casual stroll, manifesting miracles wherever he went. Let us focus on one particular era, the final days of the Shang dynasty and the dawn of the Zhou. At that time, the divine sage chose to be born into the world as a human, with the solemn purpose of spreading the great Tao. A thread of his true spirit floated down from the heavens, subtle and luminous, and entered the womb of an elderly woman named Madame Miao, who lived in Ku Ren village of Ku County, modern-day Louis, in Henan province. Now listen to this. How old do you think she was when she became pregnant? 81. That's right. Even in our modern age, that would be global headline news. Then, on the 15th day of the second month in the reign of King Wu Ting of the Zhou dynasty, sometime around 145, a miracle happened. The heavenly child was ready to be born. And how did he come into this world? Not the usual way, no, sir. He emerged from beneath his mother's left armpit. Right from birth, this baby boy was no ordinary child. Picture this, a full head of silvery white hair that shimmered like moonlight. His small face had a pale waxen glow, with an aura that was anything but earthly. Deep furrows lined his forehead, as if carved by celestial hands, known as heaven-reaching creases. On both sides of his brow, two high protrusions stood like miniature suns and moons. His ears drooped nearly to his shoulders, his eyes sparkled with clarity, and his nose, straight and noble, looked like twin pillars. Most striking of all, he had 3 ear canals instead of 1. That's right, 3 in each ear. From his chin flowed a fine beard. His forehead was broad, and he had large teeth spaced wide apart. His mouth was square, and his little feet were firmly planted in directions that matched the 12 earthly branches. His pudgy hands, meanwhile, were clenched in a gesture that echoed the 10 heavenly stems. He was quite literally born with a map of the cosmos in his posture, a child sent from the stars. And what did he do the moment he was born? No crying, no fussing. His eyes darted around, sharp and alert. Then he spotted a lush plum tree nearby. He raised his tiny finger, pointed at it, and declared in a crisp, clear voice, "That tree bears my name." And just like that, this newborn named himself. From that day forward, he was known by the surname Li, which means plum. His given name was A, and his courtesy name Boyang. The world would remember him as Laozi the Old Master. This divine child grew up to be a man, and what a man he became. His wisdom was boundless, his knowledge deeper than the sea. Back when King Wen of Zhou was still the Western Lord, he personally invited Laozi to serve as the archivist of the royal library, a position of great importance, managing both the empire's books and its records. Later, when King Wu overthrew the tyrant of Shang and established the Zhou dynasty, he promoted Laozi to chief historian of the imperial court, a senior advisor and guardian of state knowledge. Even under King Cheng, Laozi remained in this trusted role. But Laozi was never just a bookkeeper. Taking advantage of his privileged position, he studied every secret scroll and hidden scripture of the Zhou royal archives. And when he wasn't buried in books, he would quietly travel westward, sometimes even as far as the lands of Tianzhu, ancient India, engaging in study, spiritual exchange, and contemplation with other wise men from distant lands. Later, during the reign of King Kong, Laozi returned briefly to the Zhou capital. But his heart, ever restless, longed to spread the teachings of the Tao even farther west. Finally, in the 33rd year of King Zhao's reign, he packed his things, hitched a cart to a pair of green oxen, and set off slowly on a journey toward the legendary Hanggu Pass, where the east met the west. Now let's pause Laozi's journey for a moment and turn our gaze to the guardian of Hanggu Pass, a man named Yin Shi, courtesy named Gongwen, a native of Tianshui. Even his birth was no ordinary event. Before he was born, his mother dreamed of a radiant red cloud falling from the heavens, wrapping her entire body in brilliant patterns of light. His father, seeing this as a powerful omen, was overjoyed. And on the day Yin Shi came into the world, something even stranger happened. A field of lotus flowers spontaneously bloomed all over the house floor, filling the room with a divine fragrance. As he grew up, Yin Shi became a striking figure. His posture was upright, his eyes clear and piercing, the whites gleaming like polished jade, a sign of celestial insight. A long black beard flowed down to his chest, and his manner radiated quiet strength. Some who didn't know him thought he might be a god disguised as a man. He was a diligent student from a young age, especially drawn to astronomy and celestial patterns. By the time King Kang ruled, Yin Shi was already serving as a senior official, spending his nights stargazing from tall platforms. One evening, while watching the stars from a high tower, Yin Shi's eyes suddenly widened. In the eastern sky he saw a vast cloud of purple light rising dense and majestic, stretching across the heavens like a dragon, flowing westward. His heart skipped a beat. He quickly calculated the signs with his fingers, then shouted, "A sage is coming. A true saint is about to pass through Hanggu Pass on his way west." Without hesitation, Yin Shi rushed to submit a petition and secured the official post of gatekeeper of Hanggu Pass. Once appointed, he summoned his steward, Sun Jing, and whispered, "Old Sun, listen carefully. If one day someone shows up at the gate, someone who looks unusual, dresses differently, or rides in a rare kind of cart, you must stop him and report to me immediately. This is no ordinary matter." Days passed, then weeks. Yin Shi waited, eyes scanning the horizon each morning, each night his heart full of hope. Then, at last, on the 12th day of the 7th month, in the 33rd year of King Zhao's reign, under the heavenly sign of Jiazi Day, it happened. A soldier came crashing into the pass office, panting and stumbling, barely able to speak. "Sir, he's here. He's really here. An old man with white hair, riding in a white cart, drawn by a green ox. And there's a young man beside him, calls himself Su Jia, says he's the driver." The moment Yin Shi heard this, he leapt from his seat. His beard trembled with excitement as he cried out, "Heaven has eyes. I, Yin Shi, will meet the true sage today." Without even fixing his hat, he threw on his ceremonial robe and sprinted out of the gatehouse. In the distance he saw the ox cart approaching gentle, unhurried. It was just as he had envisioned, the green ox, the pale cart, the radiant aura surrounding the old man seated within. Without hesitation, Yin Shi dropped to his knees in the dusty road, bowing again and again as he called out, "Divine Master, wait, please wait. I beg you, stop and rest in our humble land. Please share your wisdom and show us the way." Seated on the cart, calm and composed, was Laozi, the very embodiment of peace and mystery. He gently stroked his long white beard and said, with a wry smile, "Ah, Magistrate Yin, look at me, a worn-out old traveler, poor and weary. I live on the eastern side of the pass. I am simply heading west to chop firewood and earn a little coin to survive. Why stop me?" But Yin Shi didn't believe a word of it. He bowed deeper, his forehead touching the earth, his voice full of emotion. "Oh, Divine One, please do not jest with me. That aura of yours, that bearing, how could you be a mere firewood seller? I've studied the heavens since last winter. The heavenly sage star passed westward across the Pleiades. On the first day of this very month, the wind changed thrice in a single night, and from the east, true Qi rose like a dragon and serpent, flowing toward the west, all signs of a sage arriving. I've waited day and night, my eyes nearly worn out from watching. Please have mercy on this humble seeker. Stay a few days. I beg you." Laozi looked at Yin Shi, his earnest face, his heartfelt words, and couldn't help but chuckle. Stroking his beard, he nodded. "You clever fellow, so you've recognized me. Well then, I too have known for some time that your roots run deep. Your spirit is sharp. With this kind of insight and sincerity, you too may one day walk the immortal path." Hearing this, Yin Shi was overjoyed. He kowtowed once more and asked humbly, "May I ask, Venerable Master, what is your name?" Laozi replied with a distant smile, "Names? Ah, names stretch across the ages from the creation of heaven and earth to now. They shift like wind and smoke. In this lifetime I am called Li, given name Ah, courtesy name, Boyan." Thus Yin Shi welcomed the Divine Master into the gatehouse with the highest honors. He swept out the finest guest room, set up incense and offerings, and respectfully performed the rites of a disciple taking on a teacher. Laozi, moved by Yin Shi's sincerity and insight, decided to stay, and so he remained at Hangyu Pass for more than 100 days, passing on the most sacred teachings, how to clear one's heart of worldly desires, how to nourish the spirit and live a long life, how to walk the Dio and become one with the universe. Now, let's not forget the man who had been quietly following Laozi all this time, his cart driver and servant, Su Jia. This fellow was still quite young, but clever and full of ambition. Before they set out on their long journey, he and Laozi had made a formal agreement signed on paper, no less. The deal was this: Su Jia would serve faithfully throughout the journey, and once they reached their final destination, Laozi would pay him 7.3 million coins for his service, a small fortune enough to live several lifetimes in comfort. Now this journey wasn't short. They had crossed mountains and rivers, wandered through many kingdoms. But as they finally arrived at Hangyu Pass, Su Jia's thoughts were no longer on the day or the journey. They were on his money. 7.3 million coins. He muttered to himself, beads of greed forming in his mind. That's enough to buy a mansion. Or 10. No more waiting. I need to get paid. The more he thought about it, the more restless he became. Finally, he worked up the nerve and approached Laozi, asking to settle the debt. Laozi, seeing the urgency in Su Jia's eyes, remained calm. He knew what was in the young man's heart. "Ah, little Su," he said gently, "this journey has taken us far, and every land has its own kind of coin. Let me pay you in gold once we've completed things properly. How about that?" The moment Su Jia heard the word gold, his eyes lit up like lanterns. Though he wasn't fully satisfied, he agreed for now. Later that day, after they had passed through the gate, Laozi asked Su Jia to take the ox into the nearby fields so it could graze. And here the test began. Laozi, wanting to see the true nature of this young man, plucked a small sprig of auspicious grass from the roadside. He brought it close to his lips, blew a gentle breath of immortal qi upon it, and flicked it into the wind. The sprig floated gracefully through the air, and with a shimmer of light, transformed into a stunning woman, delicate and radiant, like a flower blooming at midnight. She swayed as she walked, her waist moving like flowing water. Step by step she approached Su Jia. Her eyes sparkled, her voice was soft and playful. She batted her lashes and spoke in tones that danced with charm. Su Jia, poor soul, had never encountered such beauty. His heart was swept away in an instant. All thoughts of contracts, coins, gold, and duty vanished from his mind. He was completely bewitched, dreaming of a life hand in hand with this mysterious enchantress. Drunk on desire, Su Jia did something outrageous. He stormed into the magistrate's office, where Yin Shi sat, and filed a lawsuit against Laozi. "This old man promised me 7.3 million coins and hasn't paid. I demand justice." Yin Shi was stunned, but summoned Laozi to the hall to hear the case. Laozi appeared before them, his expression calm, even a little amused. He looked at Su Jia with pity and said, "Su Jia, you've been with me for over 200 years now. By all natural laws, your bones should have long turned to dust. Do you know why you're still alive today?" Su Jia stood speechless. Laozi continued, "It's because I once placed upon you a talisman of the supreme mystery of life, a spell that sustained your body and extended your days. You owe your very life to it. And now, for the illusion of beauty, you accuse me, over shadows and desires?" As soon as he finished speaking whoosh, a flash of golden light shot from Su Jia's mouth. It was a talisman, glowing and vibrant, still inscribed with fresh red ink, as if written moments ago. The instant the talisman left his body, Su Jia's flesh melted away like smoke. Within seconds he collapsed into a pile of dry, white bones, right in the middle of the hall. Everyone present was stunned. Gasps filled the room. Some fainted. Even Yin Shi was shaken to his core. But though he was shocked, Yin Shi's heart was still kind. He fell to his knees, bowed deeply, and pleaded, "Master, have mercy." Su Jia was blinded by his mortal eyes, led astray by illusions. His crime, though grave, does not deserve death. I beg you show compassion." Laozi looked down at the pile of bones, then up at Yin Shi's earnest, pleading face. He sighed. In a swirl of his sleeve, the talisman of life flew back toward Su Jia's remains, glowing brighter than ever. It landed with a soft snap on the bones. In the blink of an eye, flesh returned, blood flowed, and Su Jia stood once again, alive but pale as a ghost and trembling from head to toe, the terror etched into his very soul. Yin Shi, seeing the boy's lesson had been well learned, took out his own money pouch and paid Sujia's full wage, every last coin. Sujia didn't dare ask for gold any more. He took the money, bowed again and again, and ran off without looking back. He was never seen chasing wealth or women again. Laozi's ascent, Yin Shi's vow, and the journey to Qingyang market. As the last shimmer of golden light faded into the sky, and the celestial music drifted into silence, Yin Shi remained kneeling in the dust. His tears had long since dried, but in his heart a fire had been lit of vow, clear as crystal, firm as the mountain beneath his feet. "The master has departed," he whispered, "but his Tao remains. I must not let it be lost." From that day on, Yin Shi refused all titles, wealth, and social ties. He withdrew deep into the mountains, seeking solitude in forests where only the wind and stars kept watch. There he meditated day and night, breathing the morning mist, sleeping under the canopy of heaven. He devoted himself fully to the path Laozi had revealed. Within 3 years, Yin Shi had completely mastered the sacred arts passed down to him, refining the breath, stilling the mind, cultivating the essence, and nourishing the spirit. He could sense the movement of Qi in all things, feel the turning of heaven through silence alone. He organized the teachings into a powerful scripture, the classic of Western ascension, Shixing Jing, 36 chapters of cosmic wisdom. But that wasn't all. With his own insight and meditation, he composed another profound work, the 9 scrolls of Master Guan Yin, Guan Yinzi, weaving together what he had received with what he had awakened in his own soul. That book would become a cornerstone of Taoist thought. And then, one dawn, as clouds drifted low and a breeze carried the scent of pine and river, Yin Shi opened his eyes. He calculated the stars, traced the days on his bamboo slips, and smiled. 3 years have passed, 1,000 days, just as the master said. It is time. Without delay, he packed his robe, his scrolls, and a walking staff. He set off westward toward the legendary land of Shu, modern-day Sichuan. There, hidden among mountains and mists, was a place most thought a myth, Qingyang Market, Qingyang Sea. A humble name, but for Yin Shi it was everything. A place of destiny, a gate to reunion, the end of a vow and perhaps the beginning of immortality. He walked through rain and stone, forest and silence. With every step he grew lighter, his breath aligned with the wind. His footsteps barely touched the ground. He was no longer just the keeper of the pass. He was now the seeker of the sage, the bearer of the Tao. So, what awaited Yin Shi at Qingyang Market? Would he find his master again? Had Laozi already returned hidden in another form? What truths were hidden beneath the stalls and courtyards of that quiet place? What heaven-shaking secret would be revealed? And could Yin Shi, mortal-born yet day-bound, finally fulfill his destiny? Dear listener, dear reader, to uncover what lies beyond the pass in the land of Qingyang, stay tuned for the next chapter of this celestial tale.